Good morning, everybody. My name is Bobby Richardson, and I am coming to you live from Australia, Queensland. I'm actually on holidays at the moment. So today I'm going to have a chat to you about true stories of mine, my first encounter that I met the Pleiadians, and then we will get into some channeling as well. Yeah, because I had such a fun night last night. I overindulged myself. And so I'm like, okay, this morning, talking to my guides, they're like, let's just tell a story until some channeling comes through. So that's what we're going to do. So the story that's been brought up quite often with me at the moment is my very first encounter with the Pleiadians. And at the time, obviously, I did not know. So I was brought up in a little town called Kaipoi in New Zealand, and that was just north of Christchurch, which is, if you ever look at New Zealand, we have like South Island, and it has a little bump at the side. It's Christchurch is just above that, and Kaipoi. So when I was there, we were New Zealand was kind of like, especially compared to Australia, we were like quite a few years back. So we didn't have things like fast food joints or anything like that back in those days. I think I only even knew about Coca-Cola. I didn't know about Pepsi. You know, there were certain products that was only shipped to our place. So it was everyone worked really hard. It was cold. I wasn't in a wealthy family at all, but both my parents worked really hard for what they had. Anyways, my father would never, ever, ever, ever come into our room, ever. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is because it's part of the story. So I was 11 years old, and I think I would have been, still at primary school. We used to walk to school. Mum used to heat up stones in the oven. We'd hold them in our gloves when we walked to school. It was that cold. And then, so then I ended up going to bed, and I remember having this weird feeling in my, like in my gut. And I looked out of the bedroom window, and there was this massive, huge, bright orange light. It would have been, just trying to think of a size that you could associate it with, maybe a quarter or a fifth the size of the moon. So it was pretty big, kind of like I thought at the time that it was a light that goes over the motorway, because if you looked in the distance from my bedroom, which was up high, we were upstairs, you could see the motorway. So I thought it was a traffic light that was just there, and I'm like, I've never noticed that being in the middle of my bedroom window when I'm lying down on my bed before. That's interesting. And I was looking at it for a while, and it did not move. It just stayed still. And then I decided to have a look to see if it was this like light that goes over the motorway. And when I looked at the distance, was way lower and way, further away. Well, it just didn't match up. This thing was smack bang in the middle of my window, just staring at me. And I remember lying there, and the weirdest thought came over my head, in my mind. And I know even to this day it sounds a bit crazy, but the thought was, it was kind of like a telepathic thought, and it was like, we've found her. And I'm thinking in my head, found who? Like, I literally remember thinking, oh, I'm nobody, so it can't be me. Why am I even feeling this thought? It was really weird. But then it would have been maybe an hour, or felt like an hour later to me as an 11-year-old. Who knows how long it would have really been. The ship just took off really fast, like the light just went out of and I just sat there frozen. I was so scared. I was so petrified. I didn't move one muscle. And you know, I don't know if you've ever been that petrified in your bed when you don't move a muscle. Like I just had my blanket up against my over my mouth, and I was just staying still. I just stayed still, holding my blanket like this. And then because you're staying still for so long, just started to sweat. And I remember thinking, I can't even move my finger. I'm too scared to move. And I had this thought in my head, oh God, I wish my dad would come into my room, because my dad would never go into our room as kids. It's just, you know, in those days, they just didn't. He'd drop us off at the bottom of the stairs, and then we'd make our way up to our own room. So I remember thinking, I wish Dad would come in. And then the door opens, and Dad, as far as I knew, walked in to the bedroom, and he sat on my bed, and he took my hand and he just held it to calm me down. He didn't say anything, nothing. He just took my hand and held it. And then he stood up and he walked off when he realized I had calmed down at least enough to be able to move in my bed again and go to sleep. Well, it would have been probably a week or so later, I finally went up to Dad and said to him, you know, did you go in my room that night? Because I was starting to wonder. That was interesting that when I really needed him, he was there. And I asked him point blank, and he said, nah, he's never ever been. He never goes into our rooms. So I knew it wasn't my father that went into my room that night, but I thought it was my father. And then it would have been the same year in December. So I just turned 11 in September. So this was between, I don't know exact dates, between September and December. And then I remember sitting down eating fish and chips. I don't know if New Zealanders will know this. We used to just buy fish and chips at the local store, and then we'd have all a newspaper, and all the family would be around the newspaper, and everyone's like little seagulls trying to get to the best chip. Or so we're all sitting around eating our fish and chips on the floor in front of the TV. The TV was on and the news was playing, and it came up with that they had seen these lights at Kaikoura, and it's now a well-known UFO recording where a reporter went into an aeroplane and actually recorded UFO lights in front of him. They're kind of blurry in that because he was trying to, you know, those days they didn't have the technology that we have these days, but he did capture a UFO. And I remember going, oh my God, that's pretty much what I saw just, you know, a month or so before. I can't remember if it was a month or a few weeks or what, to tell you the honest truth. I don't know. It could have even been a few days before. Time-wise, I can't fit it in, but I do know it was before the end. It was just after my birth. It was after my birthday, but before December, before this actual sighting happened. So now when I tap into that, I don't see my father. When I tap into that, I see a Pleiadian man, and he's tall with grayish hair, coming to me and sitting on my bed. I never see my father in my head anymore. So that was absolutely one of the first encounters I've had. Also around the same time, I remember coming home from school and my mum just yelling at me and saying, don't you ever do that again. And I had no idea what she was talking about. But apparently that night I had got out of my bedroom window and was on the roof of a very steep roof. I looked at that the next day and I'm like, there's no way I could walk on that, because you would have to kind of crawl. But I was apparently walking or she recognized even running backwards with my hands in the air, almost like I was either waving to something or going to catch something. So she found me on the roof of our house, told me to get inside, was really petrified that I got there. So I have all these little nuggets of stories, true stories that had happened to me right off the bat. And it just gets weirder and weirder as I go along. I have actually recorded all my stories. I started off with, I thought it would take a couple of hours, but then it ended up leading into, I think, 6 videos, hour-long videos. So I haven't put them back up. I've kind of hidden those ones. There's a lot to them. I think I'll redo them in the end. But anyway, I wanted to share with you those couple of stories before I get into just tapping into them and channeling a bit, because, yeah, I had quite a full-on night last night and overindulged in a few things. So I've got to get myself back into that mindset again. Anyway, hey Joe, good to see you. Hey Katie from New Zealand. Hey Cherie, Sky, Sandy, my little group. I love you guys. Let's see. Actually, I'm meeting with Jo. She doesn't live too far away, so that's exciting, meeting with Jo on tomorrow morning while I'm on holidays. So that's really cool. Okay, let's get into this and see what happens. It's so funny because I've been putting out that I'd love to meet some of you guys, and here I am going to meet Jo tomorrow. Let's see what happens with this channeling. So I want to channel some Pleiadian energy, since we're talking about Pleiadians. I think that's only wise. And see if they have any messages for interesting, eh? There's absolutely, I don't know if you can hear it, but there's a lot of alarms going off, like sirens going off, ambulances going off, emergencies going off while I'm saying that. Let's see if anything's brought through. I have to get a totally different mindset. Okay, they're at least saying that they're here anyway. And they're saying that they have been communicating me since I was really little. And I do remember some things when I was really little when they were talking to me as well. Now that I understand, back then, you kind of think it's your thoughts. So you just associate it with your thoughts, even though it was a thought answering my question and you knew it was true. Then there was no logical reason for that to be the truth. Let's see what happens. What topic? Trying to find a topic now. Hey, Debbie. Good to see you guys. Sorry if I'm a little bit not with it so much. I shouldn't have overindulged. But then again, I'm on holidays and who cares? If I can't find anything, I'm going to launch into another story because okay. Now it's starting to come through. Yeah, it's going to be, it's really important at the moment. Oh, they can't say it enough. It's really important at the moment to live as presently as possible. There is literal energies that are coming down that when somebody is really out of balance, they won't be existing in the end, that's what's going to happen. And I was given a dream of that. They're showing me this dream that I had where I woke up. In the dream, I woke up and we looked outside, and there was a moon outside, a full moon, and then there was tubes of light coming down, and it was like wiggly tubes of light coming down and poking holes through everything that wasn't conducive to living presently in the moment. And the only way that humanity would move through these new energies is to find balance within themselves and live more in the moment than before, and be supporting who they are. Then it wouldn't even touch them. And then I woke up from that dream, and to give me even more insight, the first thing that was up on my Facebook was a remote viewing that was written out about somebody who remote viewed in America. They used to employ them as remote viewers through the CIA, and it was a CIA remote viewing document. I clicked on it, and it had this lady who had remote viewed, I think it was a lady, pretty sure, remote viewed. She said it looked like the world was like a pie, and there was fingers being punched through this pie, and things were disappearing, exactly similar to what I had just dreamt. So it gave me that extra confirmation. They often did that with me. They'd often give me a dream, and then they would bring it up in real, true reality to prove to me that this is something you've got to take notice of or remember. They're now going into dreams. They will work with those that are that have decided. They will work with those that have decided that they're ready to expand their reality into something more than what they were before, which is just in saying that in itself is going to lead you through the door of living more presently, understanding yourself more and supporting yourself more. And then it like is a trigger, or not a trigger, an energy meet where they can meet with you in your dreams and gift you understandings of what to do to navigate through life, and all the possibilities, what to accept, what to let go of, what to move through, what to take advantage of, what to move away from, and when to speak up, when to and all of those is, it's not that you just do one of those. It's that there's moments where you can do any of those things. Sometimes you need to speak up. The very next day, similar thing might happen, and they tell you to walk away. When you're living presently in the moment, you start to have an understanding, and they'll go into your dreams, and sometimes they will gift you understandings before it actually happens, and then you don't remember when you wake up, but when you actually go through your day-to-day life, you have a feeling of I don't want to attach myself to that person, or I don't want to walk down that street, or I just want to accept this, and I have a pull to do something that I didn't want to do yesterday. And so sometimes they can enter into your dream state, because when you're asleep, that's giving your soul a rest from this reality, and your soul is actually living in its rightful manner of. It's like your soul is what's close to them. It's like it has a rest from this reality, so it is in the presence of its unique self, without the logical program that's pulled us into the separation. So in that space, it can talk to other beings that are in that space, and that's where they can meet you. But what happens usually is many people have been gifted this same opportunity of having understandings, but when they wake up, they just ignore it. They don't want to listen to it. They pretend that it didn't didn't happen, or when they get an intuitive nudge, so to speak, it feels like an intuitive nudge the next day, but really they already told you the way to go through the dream. They turn around and go, no, I've got to do it the way that my logical brain wanted me to do it yesterday, because otherwise I look like a fool if I do something different. So that's why they want us to live more in present moment and not worry about what others think if you did something different one day and then total opposite the next day, because you're moving through or working with the energies that are arriving on Gaia, on Earth at the time. So that's really cool. And that's why staying present makes it easier, just because you're navigating through the energies of life rather than the logical brain, which holds on to a story and won't let go. And then you end up trying to recreate that story in a different energy band, and it doesn't work anymore. So yeah, they will be helping guide you. A good way of remembering things that come up in dreams is when you wake up, go over your dream. Like when you just wake up, if you can remember it, just go over it. If you can't remember it, just feel into the feeling and let it go. And then the dream slowly sometimes comes back. If it's worthy of coming back, it will come back. Or you can just write down a feeling that you had, and then sometimes it comes back during the day. And when it does come back during the day, that's because you've had a trigger in that day of the dream where they were giving you that message. And so now you're all of a sudden go, I remember the dream. Why? Because in that present moment was the reason why they gave you that feeling in that dream, for you in that present moment to do that. And sometimes the dream will give you a very it's given to you in an energetic story. So it might not completely match the story that's happening in real time, because when you're in real, like awake, you also got your logical brain coming in that manifests stuff as well. So your logic manifests just as much as your intuitive side. It's just which one are you going to gift more focus to? Well, if it's logic and logic's giving you a beautiful life, then so be it. Go for it. If it's intuitive, if the logic is repeating so much that you end up having a really crappy life and you don't like it anymore, then let it go and allow your intuition to come in and do its stuff, and use your imagination to bring forth your memories from past lives and all sorts of things, to be able to shift and change things, have a more of an expansive unknownness to your reality, and allow that to happen. Also, they keep bringing me to when you say you're painting a painting, and that's what life is, right? We're really learning to paint our own painting. And you don't have to be a great artist to do this. You can see many pieces of art out in this world that will be, have a price tag of $100,000, and yet it's just a can of soup, right? So it is nothing to do with the painting itself. It's to do with how much you support yourself. And also they're bringing me to, when you're painting, you could have something in your imagination, right, that's way out there that you want to paint. And every single time you got to put it on the paper, it will never come out exactly as you had in your imagination. There's a reason why that happens, is because we're bringing our imagination, we're grounding it in, we're infusing it with something solid, we're infusing it with the paintbrush, with the way the paint is, the texture of the paint, the texture of the paper, and so it's emergence, and it's merging. I'm making up words. It's merging two things together here. So it's more of an allowance, even when we do imagine something and then we ground it onto this planet. it might not come out exactly as the imagination had from a previous life, because in that previous life there was different energies, there was different responsibilities, there was different programs within your mind and all that sort of stuff. But you can still bring through the magic, in other words, the telepathy and the telekinesis and all that stuff, or the ability to manifest something beautiful, grander than what you had brought in, like even if you're wanting to create a business or something like that that was outside the box. But it won't come through as exactly the same as your imagination, because now you're merging it and grounding it with Gaia. They're bringing me to a meteor, right? A meteor in the sky will be flying through the sky and going past all of those other planets. It's not until it actually hits a planet, hits Gaia, hits Earth, that it turns into a greener color, like the meteorites that you can get. I've forgotten the crystal. They call it a crystal. It's not. It's a meteorite. There's a name for it. I do know that name, but anyway, anyway, they're trying to. It doesn't matter. But they're leading me to the fact that wasn't green before when it was flying through the air. It was because it hit Gaia herself that it changed color. So whenever we're grounding something on Gaia, don't expect it to be exactly the same as what your imagination is, and then say to yourself, well, I didn't ground that. I didn't get what I wanted from my imagination. I got this instead. There has to be an acceptance that not everything is going to be exactly the same. And that is the unknown quantity of two things meeting, imagination and memory from past lives meeting, Gaia and all the rules and regulations that are on here now, and how we can move in and out of them and create this whole new reality. So don't expect everything to be exactly as your imagination was. It's different. We couldn't even, to this day, right here, right now, recreate exactly Atlantis Lemuria, because in Atlantis Lemuria, we had a different understanding of ourselves. We've actually expanded through logic now. We have a different understanding of ourselves. So we have to allow the creation that we're creating on Gaia to be an unknown quantity. And yes, and that's why they're saying surround yourself with everything that you love, paintings, and watch things that you love, watch things that you want to manifest into your reality. Be around people that are cheerful and want to and bring you up. As soon as you have somebody's energy that's trying to compete with you and bring you down, move away from them. Don't have as little as possible that you can with them. And if they keep coming back, boomeranging back into your life, then there's a lesson to be learnt there. So look deep within the psyche of yourself of where that lesson is that you need to figure out what you need to shift within yourself so that they don't come back. Let's see what else. I'll see what some of these comments are, because we've got quite a few comments here. Are there good practical ways to raise our vibration? Are there good practical ways to raise our vibration? Oh, funnily, they're saying, yes, that's what we were just saying. Try to keep yourself surrounded. It's like they answered the question before I actually read it. Try to keep yourself surrounded by those that are conducive to what you love. The saying, you've always got, when you take the reins to your own reality, you will always have the steering wheel. So when something comes at you that's not of good vibration, then as soon as you say in your mind, nah, sorry, not dealing with that. But if you keep replaying it over in your mind and your logical mind's trying to find a way out of it, all you're doing is focusing in on it and bringing it back in. So that's why it's really important practically to surround yourself with things like images, pictures, go online, watch YouTubes, like watch tarot cards that you want to manifest into your reality. Things like that. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if it's not true in your life now. It's something that you're focusing in on and you're asking your reality to bring more of it in. I love doing pick-a-card readings because when you do pick-a-card readings, you're still picking your pack. And then it tends to be the same story coming at me over and over. So I have this confirmation that's coming at me. And what I'm doing is I'm showing my logical mind, yes, this can actually happen. If it's happening over and over again through pick-a-card readings that I'm bringing that story back in, then it must be in my reality coming up. So I'm actually teaching my logical brain. So what we really want to do is, by grounding it, is we're asking our logical brain to accept a certain reality to come into our existence. So that's why when we surround ourselves with imagery and pictures and people telling us the best thing that we want to bring in, it becomes solidified within our logical brain and acceptance within our logical brain. And that's when it's grounded. That's when we'll actually literally see it physically come in. It's when we stop, our logical brain keeps stopping us and saying, no, we're not worthy enough. Oh, no, that's too much. Oh, no, I'm never going to be able to handle that. That's when it just stops. And so you won't actually see it coming into your reality. And that's all to do with vibing high, right? Because when we're vibing high, we're in the flow of our life and we're creating the reality that we want, that we individually want. And we're saying that we are worthy of individually creating the reality that we want. Yeah. What else is there? Turns out you vibe anything that you do. Okay, let's go imagination. Yeah, I love this little group. It's Moldavite. Thank you, Cherie. Yay! Good on you. I knew it was an M word. They keep going M, and I'm like, I can't remember it. From the nickel. Interesting, Lion's Garden. The meteorite can burn green from nickel. Yeah. Yeah, but Moldavite actually turns green. Interesting, eh? Let's see what else is there. Yeah, anyone and anything, any other person that you feel you resonate with and that you feel good about being around, whether it's, on YouTube or people in your life, and they talk in that high vibe kind of a contents, you're literally starting to bring that reality into your life. If you watch them on YouTube and then ask for to meet someone in your physical world, that's what you're really asking to do. By bringing that energy around, you start speaking like that, then other people hear you speaking like that, and then they start to come around your reality speaking like that. It's interesting with my reality, I'm starting to just meet people for the first time who have made it in a big business, business wise, because my focus is on expanding my channeling and my business, this business that I'm doing here right now. I want to make it bigger and bigger, and I've always had a lot of doubt and self-sabotaging thoughts around that, but I'm finally starting to bring people around who are into a more big business sense, that have created their own businesses, and all to do with creative fields in a bigger way. So yeah. Hey, because there's a Bikusu B. I hope I said that right. Good to see you here for the first time. Okay, so if you don't know, on Tuesday I do tarot readings for entertainment, but it's as well as channeling comes in as well. And I do free chat bar readings on that day. And Thursdays is my channeling day. You can ask questions about the ascension process, UFO, ETs, about how, we're navigating through these new energies, the new earth, where we're going to, all of that sort of thing, what it actually looks like over there in that side. It's really more of a feel. When I was there, although everything was a lot brighter in colours, there was the fencings had all been pulled down as well. We don't need fences when we're in the higher vibration. Fences are a reflection of our mind, our logical mind taking over and compartmentalizing everything so it can have control over itself. And so outside of ourselves, we're trying to control everything and compartmentalize our reality outside of ourselves. So therefore, fences become part of our reality, where if you allow the intuitive side to come in and bring in its part, we don't need to fence off everything. We can have a beautiful, expansive landscape that could go for miles and miles, and everyone's free to explore Gaia herself, because she is here giving herself freely all the time. She gives food freely. Reason for that is because she loves us. She wants us to be here. But because she's moving into a higher vibration herself, where she's wanting humanity to come up into that higher frequency. She resides in those higher vibrations already, but she wants humanity to come up into the higher vibrations as well and be accepted in that. But we have to come to a point where we are self-accepting ourselves and no longer looking at somebody else outside us as more controlling or more or better than we are, because then we're giving our power away and we're creating chaos outside of ourselves by saying that we are less important, where there is nothing less or more important in the higher realities. And it comes from that peaceful mind where we stay still within ourselves, because in that peaceful mind is utopia within us, and everything else is of acceptance of that. And we move through life accepting everything as we go along, so we can utilize the logical mechanisms like ovens, and go into our kitchen and bake cookies using an oven, instead of just being in an etheric world where we manifest it, which we can get to that stage of just manifesting things through our imagination, but our logic has to agree with it. As soon as our logic does not agree with it, it is not and void. It does not work in this reality. So what we're doing is saying to logic, let go of control enough to allow our intuitive side, our right hemisphere, to have a say here, to be able to bring in something completely different so that we can expand. It's full on. I didn't realize it was going to be so good. I was thinking heavy night last night, having fun with my beautiful partner, and since I'm on holidays at the moment, I was thinking this morning, can I do this? I can. There you go. Okay. Just thinking of making chicken soup. Yay. You know what? A really good thing to do, Cherie, this is one of the practical things we can do to help us ground higher vibes, is we can use what's happening during the day to start creating what we really, truly want. So you want the best chicken soup, right? Let go of the recipe for a moment and just go, I am going to make the best darn chicken soup ever. And I'm going to trust my intuition on this one. This is going to be an intuitive chicken soup. I'm going to let go of everything. I'm going to have the ingredients that I love, and I'm going to put in the amount that I want as I go, and taste test it as I want or whatever, but I am going to make the best chicken soup ever. Already put that into your reality. And the same goes for day-to-day life. Anything that you want to do, that you want to create, already, if you're playing a game with someone, already put in your head, I am going to win. And watch what happens. You'll make the right moves. And that's how we're starting to learn to be in this high vibe, because we've supported who we are, and our reality matches up with us gaining what we desire, what we really want to do. So you could be playing with someone that wants to learn to do this, and then you're teaching them by becoming it, and then they end up learning something from it for themselves, and then when they end up creating their own life, then they end up bringing in somebody else who wants to learn it, and so they end up setting themselves up to be the so-called winner of the game, of their own self, because they're creating what they want now, and then that person is learning to do it through you. So we're slowly expanding out and allowing people to come into our life, not holding on to if someone's already learnt the lesson, that they have to be the loser all the time, if you get what I mean. No, you just move in together and say, and accept that we're both creating what you desire. Yeah, interesting. Anyway, so there's ways of grounding things through. I like doing games on my own too, like solitaire, or I throw dice and I just say 1s and 5s are only going to come up, or I throw dice and say it's going to be a 3, just to see if I'm in the zone. That's another practical thing that you can like check in with yourself, if you are too much in your logical brain or logical mind, or if you're allowing yourself to be in the flow of creating the reality of the existence that you desire. Yeah, it's a real trust game. That's why they call it leaping off a cliff into the unknown. It's a real trust game rather than logify, already decide this is what you have to do. Boom, 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 boom. Another suggestion is, if you're doing something that's going wrong, and you're not in the zone, trust that you can, I let it go, and whether it's in 1 hour or 1 day or 1 week or a few days or whatever, I wait till the feeling comes in that I actually want to do it again. And then when I want to do it again, it all works out really, really, really well. But if you keep going down that, it's going all wrong, why is everything going wrong? You're focusing in on it going wrong, and you won't be able to shift it until you get to the point in your reality when you can shift in your reality in the moment, in any moment. So it's a process of us learning to do this. Okay, let's see what else is here. Rainbow, I forgot the most important one. Doing something nice for someone does wonders. Even just something small like lifting others up or listening to someone that needs a friend. Yeah, and that's self-respect too, right? Because when you see someone in your reality, they are part of your existence. They're part of your reality. And so how you react with them is how you're reacting with yourself. So when you're gifting and sharing and feeling like you're abundant enough to share, you're saying to yourself, I'm abundant enough at any given moment, I'll get what I need. And so I am free to share with somebody else, or free to listen to somebody else, because you're actually respecting who you are by respecting and sharing and allowing with others. Now, that's not to say that every single time you're with somebody that you share. It means that you are in a zone of, it feels right to do it now, and it feels right to, because sometimes there are moments where someone needs to cry on their own, where someone needs to pick themselves up. And if you're there trying to project your worthiness onto theirs by helping them, you're not actually helping them. You're actually hindering them by saying, you can't do this on your own, and so you need me. And that means that they turn around and go, well, I need somebody all the time to be able to help me. So they're never really feeling their own self-worth. Sometimes we need to allow people to do things on their own. But you But when you're in the flow, natural flow of tapping into those that are around you as part of you, then you'll see when you'll feel off them. I don't feel like helping that person. Well, don't help them. Let them do it on their own. Now's a time where I need to share some of my stuff. I need to give because it feels right to do so. So you are then creating a conducive reality that is always supporting yourself first, which supports the outside of you as well. Do you think there are certain times of the day that are more in tune? Yeah, there are certain times of the day. I would definitely go for sunrise and sunset. And it was really interesting. The other night, the sun was setting and I was tapping into that feeling, that vibration. Why is that vibration so kind of energizing or just feels more at peace? It's easier to feel more at peace within self. And they were telling me it's because the sun is in reflection to you. So you're one person here, and here's the earth, right? A ball that you're standing on, and here's the sun. So when the sun is coming down onto its horizon, it's meeting in equal terms to the etheric and solid, or Gaia, or Earth, or the practical world. So it is the vibration that it sends all along there that meets you is in balance of the world that you are consistently in. And so they told me that, and they're telling me now again, that vibrational meet makes it easy for you to become in balance. And so you feel more energized. It's easier to become less monkey mind, something like too out of balance. So sunrise and sunset are the best times for that feeling. But that feeling can be held throughout the whole day, right? If you learnt to constantly accept your life as you went through your day, constantly accept what's happening. Don't see it as an attack on you. See it as oh, that's interesting. Accept it. Oh, that just happened. Accept it. There are no mistakes. There's just the energy that you're moving in and out of, being in the flow and out of the flow, and in the flow and out of the flow. And the more that you accept it, the more you actually become in the flow, because you're not fighting against something. I shouldn't have done that. That shouldn't have happened. Well, you're then just telling your reality that it shouldn't be that way. And so you end up getting stuck or caught in the mind trap of replaying it over and over and over in your head. And yet the energy's flowed into something completely different, and you're not flying with it anymore. You're stuck back here in the mind, monkey mind. So I think that will help people heaps too when they get the general idea of that. The more that we can be in acceptance and letting go, the more that we're conducive that we are with creating the reality that we want, because then we can start to learn to steer it into what we desire, not just go with the energies, but literally steer it using the energies into what we really want. Yes, empowering others is so fun. And that's what we're here to do in the end, right? Because if we end up empowering everyone, we end up all in the same utopia world. We're grounding our own individual heaven on earth, and we're then matching the vibrational story that we're creating with others that are exactly the same as us, or have the similar story as us. And so it's easier to even create it and ground it on earth. The more we go through that, that's fun. Yeah. Let's see if there's anything else. I think it's a good idea, though. I might start doing little stories because I got a million stories. My life has been one interesting story after another, like, because I've lived very close to the edge of the my like connection to my soul and the messages coming through and stuff. I've had some really interesting stories to tell that seem almost magical. So I might tell a story before each one of my channelings. Yeah, I think that would be fun. So what else is there? Anything else that's coming up? It's also important to let go of the history of, because history is the programmed history that's pulled over humanity's eyes. They can shift that history for us to focus in on what they want to bring into our reality at any given point through what's been taught in history. That's why history is very limited in the school sense. They haven't taught us the exact history. They've just brought pieces of history so they get us to focus in on things like war, because they want to bring it back up again. They're using educational history to infiltrate our minds that we need to focus in on that. We need to remember it. We need to be grateful for the wars. I don't even think the people that were in the wars that went through all of that would want to keep replaying that in their heads, because they know that it's constantly bringing it back into their reality. So Remembrance Day, which is on 11/11, and 11/11 is the most manifesting, powerful number that is actually a code. They knew that 11/11 was going to be a code of waking humanity up. And that's why we start, all of a sudden, when you're starting to wake up, you start seeing 11/11 everywhere. It's an actual code within the soul to say it's time to wake up out of this illusion. It's time to take your reins of your own reality back. And then they pulled that wall over our eyes by putting Remembrance Day on that. What did they do? Get us to all focus in on wars and be grateful. And like the ones that did pass on, they'll be going, why do you want to keep remembering what I've gone through? We don't want to bring that back in. As souls, they would be, as knowing souls anyway. So it's a good idea whenever 11/11 comes up with me and my girls, I was taught by my guides to be focusing on what I want to create. So I get them to start focusing on, what do you want your world to look like? What would you, or even if you say, what would those men that did die, what would they want our world to look like? What would we want to be focusing in on? And that is gratitude. That's true gratitude, because you're using what's happened to them as a lesson rather than bringing it back into focus and recreating it all over again. So you're actually honoring their story by saying there was purpose in your story for us not to bring war back into our reality again, for us to understand that you did this so that we could create a better utopia on earth. And you went through that for that. That will free them up. And then they'll be grateful that they went through that, because they'll have an understanding that somebody actually used the energy to lift themselves out into a better reality, which is the whole purpose of anything like that, is to lift us out of a yucky reality. Instead, we go down deeper and deeper into that, get sucked into the hole of monkey minding it and going over and over and over it again and bringing it back into our reality and being fearful of it and all that sort of stuff. And fear will bring through it creates just as much as what we love. It's just a vibrational meter of what we're focusing in on. One day they'll become a book. My stories will become a book and you'll proof it. But yeah, I need a proofreader. So true, Katie. I love that. I've written down a lot. It's got, what value does war have? Ask yourself. As a function, it changes. Yeah, that's right. So Guys, I'm going to leave it here now that I'm on holidays, and I'm going to go back and enjoy my awesome holiday with my beautiful man. And until next week, on Tuesday, I'll be doing another tarot reading, and Thursday, another channeling. And then after my holiday, I'm going to change everything up a bit. I'm going to do more. I want to do more. So there's going to be, if you become a member of my website, don't go into the, I think I've taken the Ruby thing down. Well, it's coming down anyway at the moment. And because I'm going to make new memberships on my website, and the link is down below. And then I'm going to bring in some Zooms where we can all chat together and stuff like that. I think that might be fun. And they will be recorded for YouTube. So just be aware of that if you want to become one of those people on the screen, so to speak. It's, you know, depending how big it gets, but there will be a fee to that. I'm thinking more on the line of $20 a month at the moment. We'll see how it all pans out, and then we can all get together. And the reason why there's a fee is because I want to make this into my business. I want to support myself in the bottom of my bucket so that I can spread it out to the world. And you know, if I didn't need it, I wouldn't be asking for it, but I want to be able to make this my actual income, because I want this to become bigger than Ben-Hur. So, and I want everybody else out there to do, you know, the same, support their own bucket as well. So, yeah, till next time, love you guys heaps, and I will see you on Tuesday. Bye.